Sheng Anran looked embarrassed. She thought she had not provoked Gao Yawen, but she was aggressive, and just one sentence hit her soft spot. She really did not have the ability to send Sheng Xiaoxing here, and she was speechless. This is someone else's privacy. Yunan Cheng's voice suddenly broke in, covering up Sheng Anran's embarrassment. He glanced at Gao Yawen unhappily. Hearing this, Gao Yawen's face turned pale. Yunan Cheng actually spoke for this woman and didn't even give her face in public. I'm just curious. Maybe Miss Sheng's husband is your partner? She hurriedly tried to make amends. Yunan Cheng stopped looking at her and said coldly, Your curiosity is a little too strong. Go wait in the car. I'll take Zhuxi in. Phew. Fortunately, Mr. Yu came to the rescue. Mr. Yu is really a nice person. Gao Yawen's face was pale with anger. The relationship between this woman and Nancheng is definitely not simple, and that child is also a coincidence? Sheng Xiaoxing and Yu Jingxi were walking in front of the two adults. The little girl saw Gao Yawen skipping away. She shrank her shoulders and whispered, Brother Jingxi, is this your future stepmother? Her expression is so scary. Ever since she heard from her grandfather that Yunan Cheng was going to marry Gao Yawen, he was very angry. Grandpa and Dad didn't know what she really was like. Yu Jingxi secretly pouted in his heart. Brother Jingxi, don't cry. From now on, my mother is your mother. Don't worry, as long as I have a bite of meat, I will never let you drink soup. Yu Jingxi nodded, then suddenly shook his head, lowered his head, wrote something on the drawing board he carried with him, and showed it to her. Sheng Xiaoxing didn't know many words and frowned. Brother Jingxi, what are you writing? I don't recognize many of the words. Seeing this, Yu Jingxi turned around and trotted a few steps, stuffed the drawing board into Yunan Cheng's hands, pointed at the drawing board and then at Sheng Xiaoxing, meaning for him to read it out loud. After seeing this, Yunan Cheng looked at Yu Jingxi strangely. Seeing that he was shaking the corner of his clothes and seemed very anxious, he could only frown and hesitate to say, My father is rich, so we can eat meat instead of soup? Jingxi, what are you writing? Yu Jingxi rolled his eyes at him coldly, snatched the drawing board and stopped talking to him, then walked to Sheng Xiaoxing and winked at her. Sheng Xiaoxing smiled happily and nodded at Yu Jingxi. Yeah, ha ha ha. The strange behavior of these two children fell into Yunan Cheng's eyes and made him more and more confused. However, in his opinion, it was nothing worth investigating if he couldn't understand the children's behavior, so he didn't think much about it. It seems Jingxi really likes you guys. Xingxing also likes Jingxi. Thank you for Xiao Xingxing's enrollment. Yunan Cheng looked ahead expressionlessly, his tone very nonchalant. You're welcome. The two kids get along very well. Xingxing is very cheerful. It will be helpful for Jingxi to have more contact with her. I hope she can keep Jingxi company. Hearing this, Sheng Anran was speechless. He spent hundreds of thousands to find a study partner for his child. He is indeed rich, as expected of a CEO. It really shows that money can make people do whatever they want. Jingxi, it's time for Xingxing to go to class. I'll take them in first. The two parents can visit Blue Castle at will. The admission procedures had already been completed, and the two children were taken directly to their assigned classes by the assistant administrator. This time, Sheng Anran came along just to check out the school situation. Yunan Cheng's purpose was the same as hers. Mr. Yu, shall you take a look too? Yunan Cheng glanced at the playground facilities and his tone became heavy. Hygiene is not up to standard. Bad review. Wow, what a rich variety of dishes. Seats are too close. Bad review. Wow, the facilities are so complete. No anti-slip. Bad review. Wow, the environment is great. Insufficient safety measures. Bad review. Huh? Blue Castle Kindergarten has never seen a more demanding parent than Yunan Cheng. She looked at Yunan Cheng with gentle eyes. Mr. Yu, is there anything you are not satisfied with? Unhappy look on his face. Don't you think the safety measures are too poor? Slides, swings, these places. After saying this, Yunan Cheng turned back and looked at the rainbow plastic track not far away. with a serious expression. Is this Yu Nancheng's character? What should I do if I fall on the swing? The grass was not cleaned of stones. Zhuxi is easily tripped. Mr. Yu, please relax. Are you worrying too much about Zhuxi? It is normal for children to stumble and fall. After a fall, they will pay more attention to protecting themselves. Hearing this, Yu Nancheng's tense expression relaxed a lot, and he looked at Sheng Anran for a long time with a complicated look. That makes sense. So easy. It was still early. Sheng Anran took a deep breath and said with a smile, Mr. Yu, you are so easy to coax. Yu Nancheng looked up at her. The morning light just happened to shine on her face. Her eyes were slightly narrowed by the light. Her smile was like 2 crescent moons, with a hint of teasing. He did not feel disgusted and asked, Easy to coax? You are willing to listen to other people's opinions. Yu Nancheng pondered for a moment and said in a deep voice, In your eyes, am I a dictator? Sheng Anran denied it very flatly. How could that be possible? Everyone knows that our President Yu is young and promising and is not the kind of tyrannical tyrant at all. Tyrant? The tyrant Yu Nancheng narrowed his eyes. How come you're suddenly so close? Ahem. Sheng Anran realized that she had revealed something and hurriedly changed the subject. I just think that children actually need their own space and cannot be kept in a greenhouse. Everyone has a unique life. If you keep it in your own world and he has no contact with the outside world, he will never know what kind of life he longs for. Zhuxi's own unique life. These words suddenly struck something in Yu Nancheng's heart. The words, "We are born to live our own unique life," stirred his heart for a long time. Seeing his strange expression, Sheng Anran asked cautiously, Maybe you are so nervous because Zhuxi can't speak? Yu Nancheng nodded slightly with a complicated expression. After all, if it weren't for my negligence, Zhuxi wouldn't be unwilling to speak. A low voice came from the side with a bit of self-blame. Zhuxi had a high fever when he was 2 years old and he refused to speak after that. The doctor said that there was no damage to the vocal cords and nerves. It was a psychological problem. When he mentioned this, Yu Nancheng's eyes became more apologetic, and he sighed. Psychological problems? What's the reason? She was slightly startled. She doubted her ears a little. After all, Yu Nancheng didn't seem like the kind of person who would casually talk about private family matters with others. The last time she asked Zhuxi about not being able to talk, he scolded her. It was because he didn't know that he felt even more guilty. The high fever came out of nowhere, and the servants in the old house knew nothing about it. No matter how they investigated, they could not find the cause of the accident. So he was unwilling to keep Zhuxi with his grandfather anymore. It was also when he saw Zhuxi, who was seriously ill and almost died 3 years ago, that he realized that being a father is not as simple as coming back to see your child when you are free and listening to him call you daddy for life. You have to be responsible. Yu Nancheng frowned, looking very uncomfortable. This was beyond Sheng Anran's expectation. It's all over, Mr. Yu. Everything will be fine in the future. He looked down at his wrist and hurriedly changed the subject. If I remember correctly, there is a meeting at 10 a.m. today. I am the boss and I can be late, but what about Manager Sheng? Mr. Yu, I'll go first. You don't have to worry. Take your time. You must take your time. Sheng Anran pretended to look at the time on her wrist, took a few steps back, turned around and ran. Looking at the fleeing figure, the anger on Yu Nancheng's face gradually faded, and instead a bit of warmth appeared. Later, I exchanged experiences with her about raising children, and I didn't expect that she was quite good at taking care of children. He must have done it on purpose, waiting to see me make a fool of myself. Sheng Anran ran out of the school without stopping and only stopped to catch her breath after she left the school gate, holding his chest with a lingering fear. I was so scared. I felt that if I stayed a little longer, I would be killed by the knife in Yu Nancheng's eyes. Manager Sheng came out alone. It's a good opportunity for us to talk. When she looked up, Gao Yawen was leaning against Yu Nancheng's business car, folded her arms and stared at her unkindly.